Yeah, all good. All good. Just gone for a nice, peaceful walk. It's a beautiful, mild late evening. It's a nice spring late evening here, and just gone for a nice walk. And I was just doing a bit of reflecting before I sort of set off on my walk this evening. I noticed a post on LinkedIn. It was attributed to Tony Strudwick. It was on a performance page type thing, and he talked about some of the challenges that sports scientists have in the game of football. Fascinating article, but I'm not going to speak about the article, so to speak. I hold Tony in the highest regard, fantastic professional and a great guy, top man. What it sort of made me reflect on how there's people in the world of football who move the game forward aren't always the loudest in the room, so to speak. Sometimes there are the people who just see things differently. They see something differently. For example, a coach who sees the potential in a player that's been written off, a bit like, say, Tony Basher, the director of the Australasian Soccer Academy, that saw something in Cristiano Volpato to take him under his wing and organise trials in Italy. I've worked with Tony for years, since 2007, going out visiting the Australasian Soccer Academy annually, and last few years on Zoom, so to speak, and doing sort of well-being performance sessions. And people like that who basically sort of see people. The teacher who gives confidence to someone who feels left behind or lost belief, so to speak. I see that in academia. The mentor who notices small small details can change everything for someone. The person who refuses to accept that's just how it is, so to speak. So when I look back on my own sort of involvement in football over many, many years, and academia, a lifelong learner, studying as a lifelong learner in academia as well and other areas, I sort of reflected on people who take the game forward. And Tony Strudwick was certainly one of those, and people, amazing person. And he left me a testimonial on LinkedIn, and he talked about how something along the lines that I incorporated NLP, psychological strategies with the physical side. And that's something that I sort of started doing in 97 when I started working with individual players at Lifeline Health and Fitness, a personal training centre, where the owner of the centre was the fitness coach of Palace at the time. And I was based at the centre working with individual players from all sorts of teams, but also people who just wanted generally fitness, weight reduction, just general stuff. So I, at that point, started incorporating things like NLP and motivation strategies. And it was really, really a huge accolade for years later to Tony to mention that. I sort of knew Tony when I was working at Berry. He was at Blackburn, and he invited me down one time to do a talk at Blackburn when Mark Hughes was the manager on NLP, and they were having a bit of struggling with results. Then he thought, bring me in and do a talk, and I did. It was great to the staff there, and we'd kept in touch to the point where he went to Man United, and I visited him on a few occasions there. But we sort of lost contact since then. Obviously, sort of in sort of football, you sort of go various ways. But the point being is that for me, it's progress. Progress comes as a result of sort of not following always the same path as someone else. I think some of the key questions to ask is, okay, how can we help this player think differently? How can we create a better environment for the players? How can we develop conditions, resilience of character, not just physical ability? How can we see the person behind the performance? Football is not just about the next match. It's about people. It's about growth. It's about belief. It's about helping someone become more than they could be. And in a small way, the way I see it, that's how we push things forward. It's not always these sort of big motivational speeches, and it's not always these big moments. It's not over these grandiose moments. It's these consistent actions one conversation, one insight, one session, one moment where someone starts to see themselves differently. Now, the world does not move forward only because of technology. It moves forward because people care enough to challenge limits. People who think differently, people who build others, people who take what they've learned and pass that knowledge on. Yeah? These are some of the things that sort of come to mind. That is what inspires me and has inspired me over the years. Whether it's on a football pitch, in a classroom, at a university, on a Zoom call with players from the other side of the world, the mission is the same. Help people grow and help people believe. But that's my take on it. It's always great to hear your take on it as well.